The warning light blinked red on the control panel. Day frowned and leaned forward in his pilot seat. The environmental processor was showing an error. That was strange. He had checked every system before leaving Epsilon 7 Station 3 days ago. He rubbed his tired eyes and stood up. The Mugunghwa was a small cargo freighter, just big enough for one person to run alone. Dee preferred it that way. No crew meant no problems. Just him, his ship, and the stars. The corridor to the processor room was narrow and cold. His boots echoed on the metal floor. Day had been hauling cargo across the outer reaches for 5 years now. He knew every sound his ship made. Every hum, every click, every vibration. Right now, something felt wrong. He opened the processor room door and stopped. A woman sat huddled in the corner behind the filtration tanks. She was not human. Her skin had a faint shimmer, like oil on water shifting between blue and purple. She had forearms, thin and delicate, wrapped around her knees. Her large eyes, completely black, stared at him with fear. What the hell? Day's hand moved to the plasma pistol on his belt. The alien woman raised 2 of her hands in surrender. Please, she said in perfect human language. Please don't hurt me. Day kept his hand on the weapon but didn't draw it. How did you get on my ship? I hid in the cargo bay when you were loading supplies, she said. Her voice was soft, musical. It was the only way I could come with you, human. Come with me? Day felt anger rising in his chest. Do you know what you've done? Stowing away is a serious crime. I could go to prison for transporting illegal aliens. I know, she whispered. I'm sorry, but I had no choice. Day looked at her more carefully. She was wearing torn clothes that might have been expensive once. Her skin looked dull sick. She was shaking. What species are you? He asked. Villani. Day's eyes widened. The Villani Empire was one of the most powerful forces in the galaxy. They controlled dozens of star systems. And they hated humans. A Villani? On my ship? He pulled out his pistol now. Do you know what your people do to humans they catch in their space? They don't ask questions. They just shoot. I know, she said again. That's why I came to you. That's why I need your help. My help? Day laughed, but there was no humor in it. Lady, the last thing I'm going to do is help a Villani. Give me one good reason I shouldn't turn this ship around and dump you at the nearest station. The alien woman coughed. It was a wet, painful sound. She lowered her hands and looked at him with those black eyes. Because I can tell you a secret that will change everything. A secret about your people, about humans. They didn't lower his weapon. What secret? My name is Lyra, she said. I was a medical researcher on Velan Prime. I discovered something in the classified archives, something the Council has been hiding for 300 years. What are you talking about? Lyra coughed again, harder this time. She wiped her mouth with one hand. When she pulled it away, there was dark blood on her fingers. I'm dying, she said simply. I have the wasting plague. It's killing millions of my people. There's no cure. At least that's what the Council tells us. What does this have to do with humans? Everything. Lyra's eyes were intense now. Humans can cure the wasting plague. Your body chemistry, your biology. It creates compounds that can heal us. I saw the research. I saw the proof. But the Council buried it. They made it illegal to even study humans. Day stared at her. That's insane, is it? Lyra struggled to sit up straighter. Think about it. Have you ever wondered why so many species avoid contact with humans? Why the Galactic Concordat keeps your people isolated in just a few systems? It's not because you're dangerous. It's because you're valuable. Too valuable. If we're so valuable, why hide it? Because if the galaxy knew the truth, humans would either become the most powerful species in existence, or you would be hunted and enslaved by everyone who needs your gifts. Lyra's voice was getting weaker. The Council chose to suppress the information. They keep the cure for themselves, for the elite families. The rest of us are left to die. Dee lowered his pistol slightly. This was crazy. It had to be, but something in Lyra's voice made him believe her. Why should I trust you? He asked. You shouldn't, Lyra said, but I can prove it. Keep me close to you for a few hours. Watch what happens to my symptoms. Human presence alone can slow the plague. It won't cure me completely without proper treatment, but you'll see the change. Day holstered his weapon. He was probably making a huge mistake, but his curiosity was too strong. Fine, but you stay where I can see you. One wrong move and I'm spacing you. Understood? Understood. He helped her stand. She was lighter than he expected, fragile. Her skin felt cool and smooth under his hands. Come on, there's a medical bay. Small, but it has a scanner. As they walked through the corridor, Lyra spoke quietly. I had a daughter. Her name was Nari. She died from the wasting plague 2 years ago. She was only 16. Day glanced at her but said nothing. 3 days before she died, there was an emergency at the station where we lived. A human medic helped with the injured. Nari got better while the medic was there. For 3 days, she could breathe without pain. She smiled again. But when the medic left, the symptoms came back worse than before. She died a week later. I'm sorry, Day said, and he meant it. That's when I started investigating. I had to know why she got better. Why those 3 days happened? Lyra's voice cracked. I found the truth, and the council tried to kill me for it. I barely escaped. They reached the medical bay. Day helped her onto the examination table and activated the scanner. The holographic display showed her vital signs. They were bad. Very bad. Why come to me? Day asked. Why my ship? Because you're heading to the outer reaches. Beyond Villani space, beyond the Concordate's control. Lyra looked at him with hope in her eyes. And because I researched you, Captain Day. You're former colonial Marines. You fought against pirates and smugglers. You understand what it means to stand up against power. Day crossed his arms. That was a long time ago. But you're still that person, Lyra said. I can see it. You wouldn't have listened this long if you weren't. The scanner beeped. Day looked at the readings, then at Lyra, then back at the scanner. What happens now? He asked quietly. Now we survive, Lyra said. And if we're lucky, we expose the truth. We break the conspiracy. We save lives. Day sighed and ran a hand through his hair. 3 days ago, his biggest worry was delivering engine parts on time. Now he had a dying alien revolutionary on his ship, telling him that humans were the secret to curing galactic diseases. His quiet life was officially over. Day watched the medical scanner for the 3rd time in 2 hours. The numbers were changing. Lyra's vital signs were improving. Not by much, but enough to notice. She was sleeping now on the medical bay bed, her breathing easier than before. The dark veins that had spread across her neck and face were fading. Just being in the same room as him was helping her. It was impossible. It was also happening right in front of his eyes. Day left the medical bay and went back to the cockpit. He needed to think. He needed advice. He pulled up his communication system and sent a secure message to Teo, an old friend who worked at a xenobiology research station. The reply came back 30 minutes later. Teo's face appeared on the screen, his expression concerned. Day, what's wrong? Your message sounded urgent. I need you to tell me if something is possible, Day said. He explained the situation, carefully leaving out where he was going and some details about Lyra. Teo's eyes grew wider as Day talked. When Day finished, his friend was silent for a long moment. Is it true? Day asked. Could human biology really cure alien diseases? Teo rubbed his face. I shouldn't tell you this. I could lose my job. But yes, it's theoretically possible. More than possible. It's probable. Day felt his stomach drop. There have been rumors in the xenobiology community for years, Teo continued. Strange cases of alien patients recovering when exposed to human medical staff. Diseases that go into remission around human settlements. But every time someone tries to study it properly, the research gets shut down. Funding disappears. Scientists get transferred to other projects. Why? Think about what it would mean, Day. If humans can cure diseases that kill billions of aliens across the galaxy, what do you think would happen? Every desperate species would come looking for us. Governments would try to control us. We'd be hunted or worshipped or enslaved. Maybe all three. Day leaned back in his chair. So it's true. The Villani woman wasn't lying. You need to be careful, Teo said seriously. If she's right about a conspiracy, then powerful people want this secret to stay buried. Bring her to my station. We can study this properly, protect her. No, Day interrupted. If there's really a conspiracy, your station won't be safe. They'll be watching places like that. Then what are you going to do? I don't know yet. I need time to think. Teo nodded slowly. Be careful, my friend, and Day, if this is real, if you can prove it, you'll change the galaxy. But change is dangerous. The communication ended. Day sat in the darkness of the cockpit, staring at the stars streaming past his ship. He had spent 5 years trying to stay out of trouble. 5 years keeping his head down, hauling cargo, avoiding complications. Now he had the biggest complication possible sleeping in his medical bay. A sound made him turn. Lyra stood in the doorway, holding onto the frame for support. She looked better than before, but still weak. "You should be resting," Day said. "I heard you talking." She moved slowly into the cockpit and sat in the co-pilot seat. "Your friend confirmed it?" He said, "It's possible. More than possible." Day looked at her. "Why didn't your people tell the truth? Why keep it secret?" Lyra was quiet for a moment. "Do you know how Villani society works? We have a caste system. The high castes control everything: government, military, resources. The low castes work and die. The wasting plague affects everyone, but the high castes get treatment. Special medicine that keeps them alive longer. Medicine made from human compounds, I think, though they never admit where it comes from. And the low castes? We die. My daughter died. Millions like her die every year, all while the council sits on the cure." Her forehands clenched into fists. "I couldn't stay silent once I knew. I couldn't let more children die for politics." Day understood that kind of anger. He had felt it before in the Marines when he saw innocent people hurt by systems that didn't care about them. "What was your plan?" he asked. "After you stowed away on my ship?" "I need to reach the outer reaches," Lyra said. "There are resistance groups there. Villani who escaped the Empire. Other species who don't trust the Concordat. If I can give them the evidence I stole, they can spread the truth. The Council can't silence everyone." "What evidence?" Lyra reached into her torn jacket and pulled out a small data chip. "Medical records, research files, genetic samples, everything I could copy before I ran. It proves humans can cure the wasting plague. It proves the Council knew and hid it. It proves they've been experimenting on captured humans for centuries." Day took the chip carefully. It was tiny, barely bigger than his thumbnail. Such a small thing to hold such big secrets. "There's more," Lyra said quietly. "The conspiracy isn't just Villani. The whole Galactic Concordat is involved. Multiple species all working together to keep humans isolated and controlled. They're afraid of what you represent. Why are you telling me this now? Because you deserve to know what you're getting into." Lyra met his eyes. "If you help me, you become a target. The Villani hunters will come after you. Maybe others too. Your life will never be simple again." Day thought about that. He thought about his quiet life hauling cargo. He thought about Lyra's daughter, dying while the cure existed. He thought about all the other people dying across the galaxy, while governments played politics with their lives. "How long before the Villani track us?" he asked. Lyra looked surprised, then hopeful. "You're going to help?" "I asked you a question. They'll track me eventually. Maybe a few days, maybe less if they're really looking." Day nodded and turned to his navigation console. "Then we need to move fast. I know a place we can go. Haven Station. It's in the outer reaches, neutral territory. Run by a woman named Hyun. She's tough but fair. If anyone can give us sanctuary, it's her." "Haven Station," Lyra repeated. "I've heard of it. It's where smugglers and refugees go." "Exactly. No questions asked, no Concordat control. We can figure out our next move from there." Day started plotting the course. "But we have a problem. To reach Haven, we need to pass through the Corvin Belt. It's an asteroid field. Dangerous navigation. Can you do it?" Day allowed himself a small smile. "I was a Marine pilot before I became a freighter captain. I can handle some rocks." Lyra relaxed slightly in her seat. "Thank you, Day. You don't know what this means, but don't thank me yet. We're not safe." He engaged the new course. The ship turned, adjusting to the new heading. "Get some rest. In a few hours, things are going to get rough." Lyra stood up slowly. "Day, why are you doing this? You could have turned me in. Collected a reward, probably. Why risk everything for a stranger?" Day was quiet for a moment. "My sister died when I was young. Disease that could have been cured if we'd had better medicine. But our colony was too poor. I watched her die, just like you watched your daughter die." He looked at Lyra. "If there's a cure out there and people are hiding it, then those people are murderers." "I don't help murderers," Lyra nodded slowly. "Your sister would be proud of you." After she left, Day sat alone in the cockpit watching the stars. The proximity alarm system was active, scanning for other ships. So far, nothing. But he knew that wouldn't last. Somewhere out there, Villani hunters were looking for Lyra. And when they found her, they would find him too. Day checked his weapons locker remotely. Plasma pistol, rifle, some grenades. Not much, but it would have to do. He had fought before. He could fight again if needed. The Mugunghwa hummed around him, carrying them deeper into space. Carrying them toward Haven Station. Carrying them toward a future that Day couldn't predict. He touched the data chip in his pocket. Such a small thing. Such dangerous knowledge. The galaxy was about to change, and Day was right in the middle of it. The alarm screamed through the ship. Day was awake instantly, rolling out of his bunk and running to the cockpit. The screen showed a contact behind them, closing fast. "Damn it," he muttered. Lyra appeared in the doorway, looking better than yesterday, but still pale. "What is it?" "Villani ship. Strike class from the signature." Day's hands moved across the controls, pulling up tactical data. "They found us. How?" "I was careful. Doesn't matter now." Day checked the distance. The Villani ship was faster than the Mugunghwa. It would catch them in less than an hour. "Go strap into the medical bay. This is going to get rough." "What are you going to do?" "Get us to Haven Station alive." He looked at her seriously. "Now go, I need to focus." Lyra left. Day pulled up the communication channel. A Villani face appeared on the screen, female, with sharp features and cold eyes. She wore the uniform of an enforcer. "Human vessel Mugunghwa," the Villani said. "This is Enforcer Iska. You are carrying a wanted criminal. Power down your engines and prepare to be boarded." Day kept his voice calm. "I don't know what you're talking about. I'm just a cargo hauler. We detected Villani biological signatures on your ship. You have Lyra, former researcher, accused of theft of state secrets and treason. Surrender her immediately. Even if I had a Villani passenger, which I'm not confirming, I'm in neutral space. You have no authority here." Iska's expression didn't change. "We have the authority we need. This is your last warning. Power down or we will disable your ship." Day cut the communication. He knew the Villani couldn't attack openly without causing problems with the human coalition. But they could make it look like an accident. Or they could claim self-defense. Either way, he and Lyra would be dead. He needed an edge. The Corvin Belt was ahead, a massive asteroid field that stretched for thousands of kilometers. Most pilots avoided it. The rocks were unpredictable, constantly shifting, dangerous. But Day had flown through worse during the war. He pushed the engines to maximum and dove toward the asteroid field. The Villani ship followed. Iska's voice came over the open channel. "You're making a mistake, human. You can't outrun us." "Not trying to outrun you," Day said to himself. The first asteroids appeared on his screen. Some were small, the size of his ship. Others were massive, kilometers across. Day wove between them, using the Mugunghwa's smaller size to his advantage. The Villani ship was bigger, stronger, but less agile. It had to slow down to avoid collisions. Day pushed deeper into the field. Rocks whipped past the viewports. The proximity alarms were screaming constantly now. He ignored them. His hands moved on the controls like he was playing an instrument, each movement precise and practiced. "You're insane." Iska's voice crackled over the communication. "You'll kill yourself and the fugitive." "Maybe," Day said, "but you'll have to follow me to find out." He pulled the ship into a hard turn, diving under a massive rotating asteroid. The Villani ship tried to follow but had to pull up at the last second, almost clipping the rock. Day allowed himself a quick smile. The Villani relied too much on their computers, their automation. Humans were different. Humans could adapt, could make decisions that computers couldn't predict. He spotted a dense cluster of asteroids ahead. Dangerous, almost impossible to navigate. Perfect. The Mugunghwa shot forward. Day's eyes tracked multiple objects at once, his brain calculating angles and speeds faster than any computer. This was what he had been trained for in the Marines. This was what humans did better than anyone else. The ship twisted and turned through the cluster. Rocks scraped against the shields, making terrible sounds. Warning lights flashed across every panel. But they were through. The Villani ship tried to follow. Tried and failed. Day watched on his rear scanner as the strike ship clipped an asteroid, spun, hit another. The Villani were good pilots, but they couldn't match human reflexes and instinct. The strike ship fell behind, damaged, but not destroyed. Day didn't slow down. He kept pushing through the asteroid field, putting more distance between them. After 20 minutes, the Villani ship disappeared from his scanners completely. He let out a breath he didn't know he was holding. "Lyra," he called over the intercom. "We're clear. For now." She appeared in the cockpit a moment later, holding onto the walls as she walked. "That was incredible. I've never seen anyone fly like that." "Former Marine pilot," Day said, checking their course. "We trained in asteroid fields." though I admit this one was rougher than I remembered. Will they follow us? Eventually. But we damaged them. They'll need repairs. That buys us time. He pulled up the navigation data. We're still 3 days from Haven Station. We need to stay alert. Lyra sat in the co-pilot seat. She looked at Day with something like awe. You could have given me up. Avoided the chase entirely. Why didn't you? Day kept his eyes on the controls. I told you. I don't help murderers. Is that the only reason? He was quiet for a moment. My sister's name was Hannah. She was 10 when she died. I was 15. I couldn't do anything to save her. I was just a kid. He finally looked at Lyra. But I'm not a kid anymore. If I can help save someone else's sister, someone else's daughter, then I will. Lyra reached out with one of her hands and touched his arm gently. Her skin was cool but warm at the same time. Thank you, Day. They sat in comfortable silence as the ship flew through the last of the asteroid field. When they emerged into open space, Day felt some of the tension leave his shoulders. Tell me about your daughter, he said. If you want to. Lyra smiled sadly. Nari was beautiful, smart. She wanted to be a teacher. She loved children, wanted to help them learn. Her voice became softer. When she got sick, she never complained, not once. She would smile and tell me she was fine, even when I knew she was in pain. She sounds strong. She was. Stronger than me. Lyra looked out at the stars. When the human medic came to the station, I didn't think anything of it at first. Humans were rare in Villani space, but then Nari got better. For 3 days, she was herself again, running, laughing, eating. I thought it was a miracle, but it wasn't permanent. No. When the medic left, everything came back. Worse than before. It was like the plague was angry that she'd gotten better. Lyra's hands trembled. She died in my arms. The last thing she said was, "Don't be sad, Mother. I'll be with the stars." Dave felt a heaviness in his chest. I'm sorry. After she died, I couldn't let it go. I needed to understand why those 3 days happened. Why she got better and then worse. That's when I started investigating. That's when I found the truth. She looked at Day. The council knew. They've always known. They could have saved her. They could have saved millions. But they chose power over lives. That's going to change, Dee said firmly. We'll get to Haven Station. We'll find the resistance. We'll expose the truth. You really believe that? I have to. Otherwise, what's the point? Lyra nodded. You humans have something we Villani lost long ago. Hope. Even in the darkest situations, you hope. Hope is how we survived, Day said. Humans were weaker than most species when we reached the stars. Smaller, slower, less advanced. But we hoped we could make it, and we did. Hope is contagious, Lyra said quietly. What? Something I read once. In human literature. Hope is contagious. I didn't understand it then, but I'm starting to now. They watched the stars together. Somewhere behind them, the Villani were regrouping, planning their next move. Somewhere ahead, Haven Station waited, and beyond that, the galaxy that needed to know the truth. Day set the autopilot and stood up. Get some rest. We'll reach Haven in 3 days. Until then, we need to stay sharp. Day? Lyra said as he was leaving. Yeah? If we survive this, if we expose the truth, your life will never be the same. You know that, right? Humans will become the most wanted species in the galaxy, for healing or for enslaving. Day thought about that. Then we'll deal with it. Together. Humans, Villani, whoever else wants to do the right thing. The galaxy's about to change. Might as well be ready for it. He left her in the cockpit and went to check the ship's systems. The chase had damaged some sensors, stressed the engines. Nothing critical, but things that needed attention. As he worked, Day thought about what Lyra had said. Hope is contagious. Maybe that's what the galaxy needed. Not just a cure for diseases, but a cure for the cynicism and fear that kept species apart. Maybe that's what humans brought to the stars. Not just medicine, but hope. He smiled despite everything and kept working. Haven Station appeared on the view screen like a beacon in the darkness. It was built from old ship parts and salvaged metal, spinning slowly in space. Lights flickered across its surface, showing where people lived and worked. It wasn't beautiful, but today it looked like safety. There it is, he said to Lyra, who sat beside him. Haven. It's smaller than I thought, Lyra said. She looked much better now. 3 days near Day had improved her condition significantly. The dark veins were gone. Her skin had its shimmer back. She could breathe without coughing. Small but safe. The woman who runs it, Yun, doesn't answer to anyone. Not the Concordat, not the Villani, not even the Human Coalition. Day opened a communication channel. Haven Station, this is the Mugunghwa requesting docking permission. A woman's voice came back, rough and no nonsense. State your business, Mugunghwa. Cargo delivery and refuel. Also looking for some discretion. There was a pause. Then, discretion costs extra. Docking base 7. Don't cause trouble. Understood. Thank you, Haven. The Mugunghwa glided toward the station. Day guided it carefully into the docking bay, a large chamber that could hold maybe 10 ships. There were only 3 others there now. All of them looked old and worn like his ship. The docking clamps engaged with a heavy thunk. Day powered down the main systems and stood up. Remember, he said to Lyra, keep your hood up. Try not to draw attention. Villani aren't common here, but they're not unheard of either. Lyra pulled a hood over her head, hiding her distinctive features. I understand. They walked down the ramp together. The station air was thick and smelled like oil and recycled oxygen. People moved through the docking bay, some human, some alien. Nobody gave them a second look. That was the beauty of Haven. Everyone minded their own business. A woman approached them. She was human, probably in her 50s with gray hair tied back and sharp eyes that missed nothing. She wore practical clothes and had a plasma pistol on her hip. You're Captain Day? She asked. That's me. You must be Hyun. I am. Hyun's eyes moved to Lyra. And who's your friend? A passenger. She needs sanctuary. Hyun studied Lyra for a long moment. Villani, if I'm not mistaken. Running from something? Yes, Lyra said quietly. Enforcers chased us through the Corvin Belt, Day added. They might come looking. Hyun's expression didn't change. Enforcers don't have authority here. If they show up, they'll leave disappointed. She gestured toward the station entrance. Come on, we need to talk in private. They followed her through narrow corridors. The station was a maze of passages and chambers built without any real plan. People lived in small compartments welded to the main structure. Shops and bars occupied whatever space was available. Hyun led them to her office, a cramped room with a desk, some chairs, and walls covered in screens showing different parts of the station. Sit, she said. They sat. Hyun poured 3 glasses of something amber and pushed 2 across the desk. So, she said, tell me why Villani enforcers are chasing a cargo captain and a sick alien woman. Day glanced at Lyra. She nodded. Because I stole classified information, Lyra said. Information that proves humans can cure diseases that kill millions of aliens. Information that the Galactic Concordat has been suppressing for centuries. Hyun took a drink and didn't react. That's a bold claim. It's true, Day said. I've seen it myself. Lyra has the wasting plague. Just being near me has improved her condition dramatically. And you have proof of this conspiracy? Lyra pulled out the data chip. Medical records, research files, genetic samples. Everything I could steal before I ran. Hyun looked at the chip but didn't take it. You know what you're asking for, right? If I give you sanctuary and this is real, I'm making Haven a target. I know, Lyra said. I'm sorry, but I have nowhere else to go. Hyun was quiet for a moment. Then she downed her drink and stood up. Wait here. She left the office. Day and Lyra sat in silence. What do you think she'll do? Lyra asked. Hyun's tough, but she's fair. She'll help if she can. Day hoped he was right. 15 minutes later, Hyun returned with another woman. This one was younger, human, wearing medical scrubs. She had kind eyes and carried a medical scanner. This is Dr. Yoonji, Hyun said. She runs our medical clinic. Best doctor in the outer reaches. I thought she should hear your story. Yoonji nodded to them and sat down. Hyun told me a little. You think humans can cure alien diseases? I don't think, Lyra said. I know. May I scan you? Yoonji asked. Lyra agreed. Yoonji pulled out her scanner and ran it over Lyra's body. She frowned at the readings. You have the wasting plague, Yoonji said, but the progression is unusual. It should be much worse based on these markers. What treatment have you been receiving? None, Lyra said. Only proximity to Day. Yoonji looked at Day, then back at Lyra. That's impossible. Is it? Lyra asked. Have you ever noticed alien patients recovering unexpectedly? Diseases going into remission around humans? Yoonji went very still. Yes, actually. I have several cases I couldn't explain. Patients who should have died but recovered. Most of them were treated in areas with human staff. It's not coincidence, Lyra said. It's biology. Human biochemistry produces compounds that are therapeutic to other species. Your presence, your touch, even your breath can help us heal. Yunji sat down slowly. I need to see that data chip. Lyra handed it to her. Yunji inserted it into her scanner and began reading. Her eyes grew wider with each file. This is incredible, she whispered. This changes everything. You believe it? Dee asked. I've been documenting unexplained recoveries for 2 years. I knew something was happening but couldn't figure out what. This explains all of it. Yunji looked up. Do you know what this means? If this is true, humans are the most valuable biological resource in the galaxy. That's why it was suppressed, Lyra said. The Concordat was afraid of what would happen if species knew the truth. So what do we do with this information? Hyun asked. We expose it, Lyra said firmly. We broadcast it across every channel. We give it to every resistance group, every independent planet, every species that's been lied to. We break the conspiracy. That's dangerous, Hyun said. Letting it stay hidden is more dangerous, Lyra countered. How many more children have to die while the powerful hoard the cure? Yunji nodded slowly. She's right. This needs to be public. But we need more proof than just documents. We need a demonstration. What kind of demonstration? Dee asked. Let me treat Lyra properly. With direct human assistance. Blood plasma, tissue samples, extended close contact. If I can cure her wasting plague completely, we'll have living proof that can't be denied. Lyra looked at Day. Would you be willing? Day didn't hesitate. Yes. It might be uncomfortable, Yunji warned. Blood draws, tissue samples. Nothing dangerous, but not pleasant either. I've had worse. Let's do it. Hyun held up her hand. Before we start anything, you all need to understand something. If we do this, Haven becomes a target. Not just from the Villani, but from everyone who wants to keep this secret. We'll have battles, maybe war. I can help defend the station, Day said. I'm trained for combat. One person won't be enough. Then we find more, Lyra said. There are resistance groups out here. Refugees who hate the Concordat. Species who've been oppressed. Give them hope and they'll fight. Yun looked at each of them. Then she smiled, hard and fierce. All right. I didn't build Haven to play it safe anyway. We do this, but we do it smart. Unji, start the treatment. Document everything. Day, I want you to help me contact the resistance groups. Lyra, you rest and recover. We're going to need you strong for what comes next. They all nodded. One more thing, Hyun said. When this gets out, life changes for everyone. Humans especially. You ready for that, Day? Day thought about his sister. About Lyra's daughter. About all the people dying across the galaxy while governments played their games. I'm ready, he said. Yunji led them to the medical clinic. It was small but well equipped. She had Lyra lie down on a bed and Day sit beside her. I'm going to start with a baseline scan, Yunji said. Then we'll try direct contact therapy. Day, just hold her hand for now. Day took Lyra's hand. Her skin felt smooth and cool. She smiled at him. Thank you, she said, for believing me. For helping me. We're in this together now, Day said. Yunji activated her scanner. The readings began to change immediately. Lyra's vital signs improved. The markers for the wasting plague started to decrease. Remarkable, Yunji breathed. Just hand contact and she's showing improvement. This is going to revolutionize medicine. Or start a war, Hyun said from the doorway. Maybe both, Day said. They sat together in the clinic while Yunji worked, documenting everything. Outside, Haven Station spun through space, not knowing that inside its walls a revolution was beginning. A revolution that would change the galaxy forever. 2 weeks passed at Haven Station. Lyra's recovery was remarkable. Under Unji's treatment and constant proximity to Dai, the wasting plague disappeared completely. She was healthy, strong, alive, living proof that humans could cure what was thought incurable, but having proof was only the first step. Getting it to the right people was harder. Day sat in a secure room with Hyun and 3 others. They were members of resistance groups from across the outer reaches. One was Kwan, a human tech specialist with brilliant eyes and quick hands. Another was Sua, a pilot who could fly anything with engines. The third was Minho, one of Day's old squad mates from the Marines now working as a security contractor. This is insane, Minho said after Day explained everything. You want to break into a Villani research facility? Not just any facility, Lyra said, standing at the front of the room. The central archive on Valen Prime. It holds the original research on human biological properties. The first experiments, the decisions to suppress the information, everything. And it's guarded by the best security in the Villani Empire, Quan added. He was looking at the facility schematics on a holographic display. Multiple defense grids, automated weapons, constant patrols. This isn't some backwater base. That's why we need the best team, Day said. Quan, you can hack their systems. Sua, you can get us in and out fast. Minyo, you know combat tactics, and I can lead the operation. What about me? Lyra asked. You're our guide, Day said. You worked there. You know the layout, the security procedures. We need you. Sua leaned back in her chair. Assuming we even get inside, how do we get the data? The archive isn't connected to any outside network. It's physically isolated. We go in physically, Quan said, warming to the idea despite his concerns. I can create false credentials, make us look like a legitimate research team. And when security figures out we're not legitimate? Minho asked. We fight our way out, Day said simply. Yun, who had been listening quietly, spoke up. You know this is a suicide mission, right? Even if you succeed, the Villani will hunt you forever. They're already hunting us, Lyra said. At least this way we make it count. Minho looked at Day. You really believe in this? Enough to die for it? Day thought about his sister. About Lyra's daughter. About all the faces in Yunji's clinic. Aliens who could be saved if the truth came out. Yes, he said. Minho nodded slowly. Then I'm in. The Corps taught me to fight for what's right. This is right, I'll fly, Sua said. But you owe me a new ship if mine gets destroyed. Deal, Day said. Quan sighed. I must be crazy, but I'm in too. Someone needs to keep you all from getting killed immediately. They spent the next 3 days planning. Quan created false identities and forged credentials. Sua prepared her ship, a fast courier called the Wildflower. Minho gathered weapons and equipment. Day studied the mission plan until he knew every step by heart. Lyra worked with Quan, providing information about the archive's security systems. She was nervous but determined. The night before they left, Day found her on the observation deck looking out at the stars. Can't sleep? He asked. Too many thoughts, she said. I keep thinking about Nari, wondering if she'd be proud or horrified by what I'm doing. Day stood beside her. You're fighting so other children don't die like she did. I think she'd be proud. Lyra smiled sadly. I hope so. She looked at him. What about you? Are you afraid? Terrified, Day admitted. But fear is normal. It keeps you sharp. You've done this before. Dangerous missions. In the Marines, yeah. But this feels different, bigger. He paused. More important, they stood in silence for a moment. Day, Lyra said quietly. If something happens to me during the mission, promise me you'll continue. Promise me you'll expose the truth. Nothing's going to happen to you. Promise me. Day looked into her black eyes. I promise. She took his hand with one of hers. Thank you. For everything. The next morning they gathered at Sua's ship. Hyun was there to see them off. Bring yourselves back alive, she said. Haven will be here waiting. Keep Yunji safe, Day said. And the data we left with you. If we don't come back, make sure it gets out. I will. They boarded the Wildflower. It was a sleek ship, built for speed rather than cargo. Sua took the pilot's seat with practiced ease. Everyone strap in, she said. This is going to be a fast ride. The ship launched from Haven Station and jumped to faster-than-light travel. The journey to Velen Prime would take 4 days. During those days, they went over the plan repeatedly. Quan would hack into the archive's security network and create a maintenance window. They would enter disguised as a research team. Lyra would guide them to the archive vault. Quan would extract the data. Then they would leave before anyone realized what happened. Simple. Except for the 1,000 things that could go wrong. On the 4th day, Velen Prime appeared ahead. It was a beautiful planet, purple and blue, with 3 moons. The Villani homeworld, the center of their empire. Last chance to turn back, Sua said. Nobody answered. They were committed now. The Wildflower approached the planet, broadcasting their false credentials. There was a tense moment while security checked their information. Then clearance came through. We're approved to dock at Research Station Gamma, Sua said. That's our entry point. They landed without incident. The station was massive. A complex of buildings connected by enclosed walkways. Thousands of Villani moved through it, all focused on their work. Day's team walked through the station like they belonged there. Quan had done excellent work on their credentials. Nobody gave them a second look. The archive was in the central building, a tower that reached toward the sky. They entered through the main doors and showed their credentials to the guards. "Research Team Delta," Quan said smoothly. "We're here to access historical medical files." The guard checked their information on his terminal. Day held his breath. "Approved," the guard said. "Fourth floor. Don't touch anything you're not authorized for." "Of course," Quan said. They took the elevator to the fourth floor. The doors opened onto a corridor lined with data terminals. Volani researchers worked quietly at their stations. Lyra led them to a secure door at the end of the corridor. "The main vault is beyond this point. This is where the original human research is stored. Can you open it?" Day asked Quan. Quan pulled out a device and connected it to the door's control panel. His fingers flew across the screen. "Give me 2 minutes." Those 2 minutes felt like hours. Day watched the corridor, expecting alarms to sound at any moment. Minho stood ready with his hand near his concealed weapon. Sua kept checking her communication device, ready to signal their escape ship. "Got it," Quan said finally. The door slid open. They entered the vault. It was a large room filled with physical data storage units. In an age of holographic displays and quantum computers, the Volani still kept their most sensitive information on isolated physical drives. "There." Lyra pointed to a storage unit marked with symbols. "That's the Human Research Archive." Quan connected his device and started downloading. The data flow began. Then alarms screamed through the building. "They know," Minho said, pulling out his weapon. "How?" Quan demanded, still downloading. "I covered our tracks." "Doesn't matter," Day said. "How long until the download finishes?" 3 minutes. Then we hold for 3 minutes. Minho, guard the door. Sua, prepare the escape route. Quan, keep downloading. Footsteps thundered in the corridor outside. Day moved to the door with Minho. Through the small window, he could see Volani security forces approaching, weapons drawn. The door was strong, but it wouldn't hold forever. 2 minutes, Quan called out. The security forces began cutting through the door with plasma torches. Smoke filled the air. "This is going to get messy," Minho said. "I know," Day replied. Lyra stood beside him. "I'm sorry. This is my fault. We chose to come," Dee said. "No regrets." The door began to glow red where the torches cut through. 1 minute, Quan said. The door burst open. Security forces poured in. Minho opened fire, his shots precise and controlled. Day fired too, providing cover. The security forces took cover and returned fire. Plasma bolts flew across the vault. One hit a storage unit near Lyra, making her stumble back. "Quan!" Day shouted. 30 seconds! A plasma bolt grazed Minho's shoulder. He grunted in pain but kept firing. "Got it." Quan pulled his device free. "We have everything." "Go, go, go!" Day ordered. They ran to the back of the vault where Lyra showed them a maintenance tunnel. Sua led the way, her weapon clearing the path. They scrambled through the narrow passage while security forces pursued. They emerged into a loading bay. Alarms were sounding everywhere. Volani security was converging on their position. "The ship's this way," Sua shouted. They ran across the bay. A security vehicle tried to block their path. Minho threw a grenade. The explosion cleared the way. The Wildflower was waiting, engines already hot. They scrambled aboard. "Everyone in?" Sua asked. "Go," Day confirmed. The ship launched immediately, plasma fire chasing them into the sky. Sua flew like a demon, dodging incoming fire and weaving through the station's defense grid. They broke atmosphere and jumped to faster-than-light travel. Behind them, Valen Prime disappeared. Inside the ship, everyone was breathing hard. Minho's shoulder was burned but not serious. "Nobody else was hurt. Did we really just do that?" Quan asked. Day looked at the data device. "We did. We have everything." Lyra sat down heavily, her 4 hands shaking. "We have the truth. Now we need to share it." Have Haven Station was ready when they returned. Hyun had prepared a secure broadcast facility, pieced together from salvaged equipment and smuggled technology. It wasn't pretty, but it would reach every corner of the galaxy. Yoonji had organized the medical evidence. She had documented Lyra's complete recovery. She had testimonials from dozens of alien patients who had mysteriously recovered while in contact with humans. She had scientific analysis showing the biochemical compounds that human bodies produced. Everything was ready. They just needed to press the button. Day stood in the broadcast room with Lyra, Yoonji, and Hyun. The others waited outside, guarding against any last-minute attacks. "Once we do this, there's no going back," Hyun said. The whole galaxy will know about humans, about the conspiracy, about everything. Good, Lyra said firmly. No more secrets, no more lies. Yunji pulled up the broadcast interface. I've prepared a package. Medical data, genetic research, the files from the Villani archive, and a live demonstration. When we transmit, it will go to every public communication channel, every news network, every data hub in the Concordat. What about the demonstration? Day asked. That's you and Lyra, Yunji said. You'll appear on camera. Show the galaxy what human proximity can do. Let them see the truth with their own eyes. Lyra looked nervous. What should I say? The truth, Day said. Tell them about Nari. Tell them why you did this. Yunji set up the camera. It was a simple device, but it would transmit their images across countless worlds. Ready? She asked. Day and Lyra stood together in front of the camera. Day felt his heart pounding. This moment would change everything. Recording in 3, 2, 1. The light blinked on. Lyra spoke first. Her voice was steady despite her nerves. My name is Lyra. I am Villani. 2 years ago, my daughter Nari died from the wasting plague. She was 16 years old. Before she died, I watched her suffer. I watched her fade. I felt helpless. She paused, gathering herself. But I discovered something. For 3 days before her death, a human medic was at our station. During those 3 days, Nari got better. She could breathe. She could smile. For 3 days, I had my daughter back, then the medic left and Nari died. Tears rolled down her face. I needed to know why. Why those 3 days? What made her better? So I investigated. And I found a secret. A terrible, wonderful secret that the Galactic Concordat has been hiding for 300 years. Day spoke next. I'm Captain Day, human. What Lyra discovered is that human biology produces compounds that can cure diseases in other species. Not just the wasting plague. Hundreds of diseases across dozens of species. We're not special. We're not superior. We're just compatible. The Concordat knew, Lyra continued. They've known for centuries. They studied humans. They experimented on captured humans. They synthesized human compounds for the wealthy and powerful, but they kept it secret from everyone else. They let millions die rather than share the truth. We have proof, Day said. Medical records, research files, genetic data. All of it will be included in this broadcast. You can verify it yourselves. The truth has been hidden long enough. Lyra stepped closer to Day. Watch what happens when a human and an alien are close. Yunji adjusted the camera to show the medical scanner display beside them. The readings showed Lyra's vital signs in real time. Day took Lyra's hand. On the scanner, her biological markers immediately began to improve. Cell regeneration increased. Inflammation decreased. Her body was responding to his presence. This is real, Lyra said. This is what the Concordat hid. This is what they let my daughter die without. This is what they denied to millions. We're releasing this information to everyone, Day said. Not just governments. Not just the powerful. Everyone. Because everyone deserves to know. Everyone deserves the chance to be saved. The galaxy is about to change, Lyra said. We know there will be chaos. We know there will be fear. But there will also be hope. Hope for the sick. Hope for the dying. Hope for a galaxy that chooses compassion over power. To any humans watching, Day said, I know this is scary. Our lives are about to get complicated. But we have a gift, and gifts are meant to be shared, not hoarded, not hidden. Shared. Lyra looked directly into the camera. To the Galactic Concordat, to the Villani Council, to every government that kept this secret, your time is over. The truth is free now. You can't put it back in the box. You can't silence it. The galaxy knows, and the galaxy will never forget. This broadcast includes everything we discovered, Day said. Share it. Verify it. Use it. Save lives. That's all we ask. The recording stopped. Yunji looked up from her controls. That was perfect. Are you ready to send it? Day looked at Lyra. She nodded. Send it, Day said. Yunji pressed the button. The broadcast launched into space, spreading across communication networks faster than light. Within minutes, it reached the first relay stations. Within an hour, it was on every major world in the Concordat. Within a day, every sentient being with access to communication would see it. They waited in silence as the broadcast spread. Then the responses started coming in. The first was from a Villani news network. Unconfirmed reports of a conspiracy. Then a human colony. Human coalition investigating claims of biological capabilities. Then more. Dozens of sources, hundreds, thousands. The galaxy was waking up to the truth. Some responses were positive. Medical organizations requesting more information, sick aliens asking for help, resistance groups celebrating the revelation. Others were angry, Concordat governments denying everything, security forces mobilizing, threats against Haven Station. Here it comes, Hyun said, watching the communications flood in. A priority message appeared from the human coalition. The face that appeared was Admiral J, the head of human military forces. Captain Day, the admiral said, his expression grave. What you've done is put every human settlement in danger. We're already getting reports of attacks. Desperate aliens trying to reach humans. Governments trying to capture humans. This is a crisis. It's also the truth, Day said. We couldn't keep hiding it. The truth has consequences, the admiral said. We're mobilizing all defense forces. Every human colony is on high alert. Haven Station is now a priority protection site. Hold your position. Help is coming. The communication ended. Well, Hyun said, we're officially at the center of a galactic incident. More messages came. A medical organization from the Trellin system offering to set up treatment centers. A refugee camp from the Corvus Belt begging for help with a plague outbreak. A resistance group offering to defend Haven Station. And threats. The Villani Empire declared Haven Station a hostile entity. 3 other Concordat governments issued similar statements. But there were also messages of support. Independent planets praising the revelation. Medical researchers requesting cooperation. Ordinary beings across the galaxy expressing gratitude. Day and Lyra watched it all unfold. The galaxy was fracturing along new lines. Some embraced the truth. Others fought to suppress it. But nobody could ignore it. I need to address the coalition governments, Yunji said. Set up medical protocols, teach proper procedures. If we're going to do this, we need to do it safely. I'll coordinate with the resistance groups, Hyun said. We're going to need allies. And I'll prepare for the fight, Minho said from the doorway. Because they're coming. The ones who want to keep the secret. They'll come here. He was right. Within 6 hours, sensors detected ships approaching Haven Station. A Villani fleet. Not massive, but significant. Hyun activated the station's defenses. They weren't military grade, but Haven had survived this long by being tough. All personnel to defensive positions, she announced over the station-wide communication. This is not a drill. Day went to the command center with Minho and Kwan. Sua was preparing her ship for combat. The Villani fleet stopped just outside weapons range. A communication came through. Enforcer Iska appeared on the screen, the same officer who had chased them before. Haven Station, Iska said. You are harboring criminals and spreading dangerous propaganda. Surrender the fugitives and the stolen data immediately. Haven Station doesn't surrender to anyone, Hyun replied. You have no authority here. We have the authority of force, Iska said. Surrender or be destroyed. Then come and try, Hyun said calmly. Iska's expression hardened. You've been warned. The communication ended. The Villani fleet moved forward. But then something unexpected happened. Other ships appeared. Human coalition vessels responding to Admiral J's orders. Ships from resistance groups. Even some independent traders who believed in what Haven represented. They positioned themselves between the Villani fleet and Haven Station. "This is Captain Rin of the Human Coalition Ship Defender," a voice said over open channels. "Haven Station is under our protection. Any attack will be considered an act of war against humanity." The Villani fleet stopped. They were outnumbered now. After a tense moment, they withdrew. In the command center, everyone let out a breath they'd been holding. "We did it," Quan said. "We actually did it." "No," Day said. "This is just the beginning." He was right. Over the next days and weeks, the galaxy transformed. The Galactic Concordat collapsed under the weight of the scandal. New alliances formed based on cooperation instead of suppression. Human volunteers began organizing. 6 months after the broadcast, the galaxy was still adjusting to its new reality. The old Galactic Concordat was gone, replaced by the Free Worlds Alliance, a coalition built on cooperation rather than suppression. But change came with growing pains. The Mugunghwa was different now. Day had converted his cargo freighter into a mobile medical ship. The cargo hold was now filled with medical equipment, treatment facilities, and supplies. The crew quarters housed doctors, nurses, and volunteers from a dozen different species. Day stood in the ship's medical bay, watching Yunji train a group of alien medical students. She was teaching them proper protocols for working with human donors, emphasizing respect and consent. "Remember," Yunji said, "humans are not resources to be exploited. They're partners in healing. Every interaction must be voluntary and respectful." The students nodded, taking notes on their various devices. Lyra entered the bay, looking healthier and more vibrant than Day had ever seen her. She wore the uniform of the Hope Initiative now, marked with symbols of healing and cooperation. "We're approaching Theta 9, she said. "The quarantine planet," Day nodded. Theta 9 was one of hundreds of worlds requesting aid. A plague had swept through the population, killing thousands. Before the revelation, they would have been left to die. Now help was coming. "How many sick?" Day asked. "Reports say around 50,000, Lyra said. "Mostly children and elderly. The plague attacks the immune system. We can handle it. We have enough volunteers this trip." The Mugunghwa wasn't alone. A small fleet traveled with them now, all part of the Hope Initiative. Medical ships, supply vessels, and defense escorts. The human coalition had learned that helping required protection. Not everyone was happy about the new order. Quan appeared on the communication screen. He was aboard the Wildflower, Sua's ship, which now served as the fleet's scout vessel. "We're detecting orbital defenses around Theta 9, Quan said. "They're not targeting us, but they're active. Looks like they're nervous about outsiders." "Can't blame them," Day said. "For 300 years, the Concordat told them humans were dangerous. Hard to unlearn that overnight." "I'll transmit our credentials," Lyra said. "Let them know we're here to help." She sent the message. There was a tense wait. Then a response came from the planet's surface. "Hope Initiative vessel, this is Governor Vell of Theta 9. We weren't sure you would really come." The voice was thick with emotion. "Please, our children are dying. We need help. We're here," Day said. "We'll help everyone we can." The fleet descended through the atmosphere. Theta 9 was a beautiful world, green and blue with mountains and oceans. But the cities they passed over were quiet, empty. The plague had devastated the population. They landed at the capital city's spaceport. Thousands of aliens waited there. Not all of them were sick. Many were family members, desperate and hopeful. Day walked down the ramp with Lyra at his side. The crowd parted for them. Children stared with wide eyes. Adults whispered among themselves. Governor Vell approached. He was tall, with gray skin and 3 eyes. He looked exhausted. "Thank you for coming," Vell said. "We've lost so many already. When we heard about the Hope Initiative, about what humans could do, I thought it was too good to be true." "It's true," Lyra said gently. "We can help. But we need your cooperation. We need facilities, translators, and local medical staff to work with us." "Anything you need," Vell promised. They set up treatment centers across the city. The process was efficient now, refined over months of practice. Human volunteers worked in teams with local medical staff. They used the protocols Yunji had developed, combining human biological assistance with traditional medicine. Day worked in one of the centers, helping coordinate the efforts. He watched as sick children were brought in, their families terrified and hopeful. A young alien boy was carried in by his mother. He was barely conscious, his breathing shallow. The local doctor shook her head sadly. Too far gone, she said. There's nothing we can do. Let us try, Yunji said. She called over a human volunteer named Isol, a young woman who had joined the initiative specifically to help sick children. Isol sat beside the boy and took his hand. What's his name? She asked the mother. Kren, the mother whispered. Hi, Kren, Isol said softly. I'm Isol. I'm going to help you feel better, okay? She began the treatment protocol, maintaining physical contact while the medical equipment monitored his condition. Slowly, incredibly, the boy's vital signs began to stabilize. The mother watched with tears streaming down her face. He's breathing easier. He's getting better. It takes time, Yunji said. But yes, he's responding to the treatment. Over the next hour, young Kren improved dramatically. The death sentence became a recovery. By evening, he was sitting up, eating, talking to his mother. This scene repeated across the treatment centers. Thousands of sick aliens receiving help. Not all of them survived, but most did, far more than would have without the initiative. Day took a break and stepped outside. The city was coming alive again. Families reunited with recovered loved ones. Music played in the streets. Hope was returning. Lyra joined him. Reminds you why we do this, doesn't it? Every time, Day said. I received a message from Admiral J, Lyra said. The Free Worlds Alliance wants to establish permanent medical centers on major worlds. They're asking the Hope Initiative to help lead the effort. That's good. We can reach more people that way. They also want to establish safeguards. Make sure humans aren't exploited. Some worlds have been trying to force humans to provide aid against their will. Day's expression darkened. We need to shut that down immediately. Everything we do is voluntary, or we're no better than the old Concordat. Agreed. The Alliance is setting up protection protocols. Human volunteers will have full rights and protections. Any world that violates those rights loses access to the initiative. They watched the sunset over the alien city. It was beautiful, purple and orange, unlike anything on Earth, but still somehow familiar. Do you miss your old life? Lyra asked. Hauling cargo, being alone, keeping things simple. Day thought about it honestly. Sometimes. But I wouldn't go back. This matters more than anything I did before. Me too, Lyra said quietly. I miss Nari every day. But knowing that we're saving others like her, that her death meant something, it helps. She'd be proud of you. And Hana would be proud of you. They stood together in comfortable silence. Over the months, they had become more than allies. More than friends. Something deeper, built on shared purpose and mutual respect. Minho appeared, walking toward them with a serious expression. What's wrong? Day asked. Nothing's wrong, but you need to see this. Minho handed Day a datapad. It showed a message from Earth. The Human Coalition government was establishing a new agency, the Department of Interspecies Medicine. They wanted Day to lead it. They want you to come home, Minho said. Coordinate the global human response to the medical crisis. It's a big position, important. Day read the message twice. It was a huge opportunity. Power, resources, the ability to help on a massive scale. What are you going to do? Lyra asked. Day handed the datapad back to Minho. Tell them I'm honored, but I'm declining. My place is here with the Hope Initiative. Going from world to world. Helping people directly. You're sure? Minho asked. Completely. Minho smiled. Good, because I was hoping you'd say that. I'm staying with the initiative, too. Somebody needs to keep you safe. Over the next weeks, they traveled to more worlds. Each one had its own challenges, its own plagues, its own desperate people. But each one also had hope now. Hope that hadn't existed before the truth came out. The Mugunghwa became famous across the galaxy. The ship that started the revolution. The ship that brought the first cure. People would gather just to see it land, to witness the symbol of change. Day tried not to think about fame. He focused on the work, on the faces of children who survived, on the families reunited, on the tears of joy replacing tears of grief. One evening, they were orbiting a station between missions. Lyra found Day in his quarters looking at an old photo. It showed a young girl with a bright smile. Hana? Lyra asked. Yeah, taken a few months before she got sick. Day touched the photo gently. I've been carrying this for 20 years. Reminder of why I kept going. Lyra sat beside him. You honor her memory with everything you do. I hope so. He looked at Lyra. Thank you, by the way. For what? For stowing away on my ship. For trusting me with the truth. For changing my life, Lyra smiled. It was the only way I could come with you, human. Day laughed. You said those exact words when I found you hiding in the environmental processor. And they're still true. Coming with you, joining this mission, it was the only way I could live with myself, the only way I could honor Nari's memory. We're honoring them together now, Day said. All of them. Every person who died from diseases that could have been cured. And saving all those who come after. They sat together, looking out at the stars. The galaxy was still adjusting to its new reality. There would be more challenges, more conflicts, more growing pains. But there would also be more hope, more healing, more cooperation.